All right, everybody, we are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Uhuru. And I have the brother on with us again. It's been a minute. Brother Top 10 Africa. And today's topic is, should Africa continue to tolerate the abuse, the exploitation, in my, honest opinion, but, you know, Top 10 Africa, you see otherwise, in the name of business. Now, I keep hearing Africans saying that, China is our business partner and we do business. But just if you study the history of Africa, well, recently, I would say post slavery, that no one does business with Africa. They come to exploit. That's my honest opinion. But some people see it otherwise with China. But in Ghana, you have all the illegal mining. I recently just saw videos of our photo floating around of a Chinese man sexually assaulting African women. You have a situation where Chinese men in Uganda are getting African women pregnant and dipping back to China. But we all know if African men were to do the same thing in China, we will be buried under the jail. So, Top 10 Africa. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And the answer is no. China should not be allowed to exploit Africa. But China is still a better trade partner for Africa than Europe or America or any of these hypocritical countries,
Mhm.
because, yeah, there are problems in the relationship with China, right? But it pales in comparison to what the Europeans did in Africa. There are parts of
True.
Africa that are still owned and controlled by whites. We know what they did when they came. They pushed off all of us off the land and took the land. So, yeah, there are cases here and there where China has overstepped its boundaries, but right now Africa must be. I don't think it's anywhere close to what Europeans did, and we just have to resolve these issues because right now we don't really have too many other partners that we can do business with. The Western world is very anti-African,
True.
very anti-African,
Mhm.
and so I don't see. We got to resolve issues with China, but going back to the West is just not an option for me.
But okay, so this is my question, and I've been asking this question for a while now. I don't think I've gotten a clear answer yet. Right now, Nigerians are the most successful. Top 10 Africa, you're Nigerian, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Igbo or Yoruba or
no, I'm Yoruba
Yoruba. Okay. So right now, which state are you from?
from Ogun State.
Ogun State. Okay. So right before Oyo and Osun State. Oh, Oyo's in.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So
just right after Lagos State, like
right,
right.
right. I know exactly where you're at. So right now, Nigerians are considered the most successful immigrants in America.
Oh,
Right now.
all right.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, based on income, education, or whatnot.
Yeah.
So my thing is, you have all these educated Nigerians all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Why not go back to Nigeria and help build Nigeria?
Well, because America makes it easy for Nigerians to come here and get a good job and not have to deal with the problems of Nigeria. Nigeria, until recently, was a dictatorship, was a corrupt dictatorship.
Mhm.
All right, so that's one. And number two, the average African is brainwashed to believe that the grass is greener on the other side. We grow up watching the Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel Air,
Mhm.
and these are the shows that they send to Africa because they want us to desire the West. And it has worked. It has
Right.
worked because when I was growing up, we had the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Different World, Cosby Show, Family Matters on rotation on our TV, and it made us want to come to America and live like that. And so since you're a kid, since you've been a kid, you've been programmed. You've been programmed to think that, okay, I gotta go there because
Mhm.
that's where the good life is. So as soon as these folks get a college degree, I personally know of people that trained as doctors
Mhm.
and left Nigeria, came to work in the United States. When they got to the United States, they realized that, wow, not everybody is nice. The streets are not paved with gold.
Mhm.
And, you know, some people are just straight up assholes.
Yeah.
But
True.
and so, America is a very anti-African place, like I was saying. So when you're black, it's a problem. When
Mhm.
you're African, it's even more of a problem. And so, but they don't see that. All they see is the Cosby Show.
Right.
And so, two reasons: the corruption in Nigeria, that's one reason, and two, the brainwashing that we are put through since when we were little kids. And so, if you've been told this is Disney World since you're a little kid, then the first chance you get, you're going to be jumping on that plane
Mhm.
to come to America.
Mhm.
But I think that's changing now. I think a lot of people are starting to go back, but it's going to take time.
Well, and that's good because I'm thinking now. They said Nigerians sent $23 billion in remittance back to Nigerians in the diaspora sent $23 billion
Yeah.
back in remittance back home. Now imagine if they just put that money into like some type of lobby or behind a politician. I mean,
Yeah.
just imagine what could be done.
Yeah, these are all new ideas that my generation is probably going to have to implement
Right.
because, the Nigerian community in America is still kind of very young. They're like first generation, second
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
And so people are, my generation is probably going to have to implement that.
Mhm.
But it's still a. I mean, I know there's a guy that is running for presidency now in this elections, and he was in the diaspora.
Oh, you talking about Amawale Sowore?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so where?
Sowore, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, you know, publishing his online newspaper,
Hmm.
right? And so he,
His newspaper. I was looking it up. It's actually funded by an organization out here in the West, or what?
yeah,
Which is, that kind of gave me a red flag a little bit. That's
I
like a red.
mean, that dude has always been in the struggle since when he was in Nigeria. He was like a student activist, a student activist leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like, a guy that people kind of respect because when Nigeria was a dictatorship, he was going up against them. I think they beat up his ass. They kicked his ass a couple
But
of
they,
times.
and they actually killed some people. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. He was like a student activist back then. And I
mhm,
think they beat him up and did some shit to him.
yeah.
But it's like, so he has like, he has what credibility.
Mhm.
He is like, he's been through some stuff. And so people are like, okay, but everybody has their own agenda. You understand?
Like I said, I mean, I know the brother's definitely credible. It's just when I see that someone's being funded by an organization out of the West, that's an immediate red flag for me. But we all know the brother has definitely put in that work, uh,
Yeah.
and he's been on the front lines as well. So exactly.
Another thing that bothers me is like I see a lot of blacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like blacks in the diaspora or in America,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of like caping for white people, like they're caping for the West.
Well, bro, that's all. I mean, you're not just saying. I mean, that's not limited to just Black America. That's everybody. That's even immigrants, Black Americans. That's a lot.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, why are y'all? Yo,
Go ahead.
I'm busy right now. Yeah, I'm saying like, why is before China came into Africa, nobody cared. Like nobody was helping Africa out. Like, okay, how long has the West been in Africa? How long has the West known about Africa? So for all that time, since the 1400s, you guys was not willing to share the
Right.
West. And, they supported dictators, they supported killers, they supported corruption, they did all kinds of stuff, and nobody cared. So now that China is investing and we're taking our business to China, everybody's starting, all of a sudden they have a problem. They're
Mm-hmm.
caping for, they're saying, oh, well, China is doing this. All of a sudden they care about the environment. All of a
All
sudden
right.
they care about corruption. All of a sudden everybody cares about what's going on in Africa. Everybody cares about the African. But you, like the West, what I consider the West, the people, it's like, it's almost like you made this conscious decision to not share with Africa, like to share your technology, to share your knowledge. It's like, okay, we're not going to tell you what we know,
Mm-hmm.
but you've been coming to Africa for centuries. You've
Right.
been coming to Africa for centuries. Like I was reading a book, and it was about a Dutch trader in the 17th, in the 18th century, and this guy was talking about, oh, we just shipped tons of ivory and gold from the west coast of Africa, and so the exploitation of Africa has been going on for 300 years. But in all that years, we never learned anything.
Right.
When you look at, you've been to West Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those Mali countries, Senegal, the
Mm-hmm.
Islamic countries, you see that they could write, right? They could read and write in Arabic and
Oh
all of
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. The whole Quran by
Exactly.
heart. Learn
Like,
it by heart. The whole Quran.
exactly. But you see, when those guys interacted with the Arabs, they learned something. They learned Islam. And Islam has been there since for how many centuries?
Uh,
Yeah, like 500, 800 years.
yeah. Yeah.
They learned to read and write. They learned mathematics. And that gave us Timbuktu and all these other cities in the whole Northwest Africa. Now you look at the South, the Southwest, West Africa, the Southern tribes. They traded with the Europeans. And by 1940, 50, most of them were still illiterate. And this is after 500 years of trading with Europeans, because the Europeans didn't come to share anything positive with Africa.
Mm-hmm.
They came to capture slaves and kidnap people and sell the people guns and sell the people all kinds of negative shit. And so now they're like, oh man, why is China in there? Because they just want to continue to exploit Africa. And so all of that, I don't want I don't want to hear all this caping for white people, like people caping for the West.
Right.
For me, if Africa, there might be problems with China, but for me, China is 100 times better than the West. I mean, look at the infrastructure. I don't know if you've been to Abuja in Nigeria.
I have not been to Abuja yet. Man, I heard it's beautiful. Is that true or?
Yeah, it was just recently built. So it's modern. It's like a modern city.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's the capital city. They just built a light rail. Who helped us build that light rail? It was the Chinese. You go to Ethiopia, it's the same thing. In Addis Ababa, they just commissioned the light rail in Addis Ababa because they're building industrial parks, putting people to work, helping people get jobs, training people. Like as bad as the Chinese people think the Chinese are, they actually doing something.
Mm-hmm.
All the centuries that we've been giving the West ivory, gold, diamonds. Let me tell you something. like 60% of the gold that is in the world today, whether you go to Tiffany's or Zales
Right.
or whatever, it come out of Africa.
Right. She comes out of Africa, goes to Europe, comes back Tiffany's.
Exactly. So tell me the Africans that made
and marked up
exactly.
25,000%.
They mark it up. They do a little bit of processing and they put like 1,000%. Now, tell me the African that made money off that in South Africa, and that's coming out of South Africa. Where's the African that made money? No African made money. It was white folks making the money.
Right.
So why would we trust people that have always raped us? We must be stupid or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Okay, just look at this Gucci fiasco
Right.
with the red, you know where they, you know all these Gucci and Fendi and Versace, you know where they get the leather for their luxury goods? It's actually coming out of Nigeria.
Mm.
So they take this raw leather, they put it through some process, and they charge you 1,000% more. But these are people that don't respect black people.
No, speaking of, real quick, not to cut you off, everybody, since we're talking about Gucci and supporting black-owned high-end, my brother Tomini out of the UK, these are his bags. These are his travel bags. 100% pure snakeskin and leather. And these are his bags. He sent me a couple. You know, I actually bought one, and he said, "Hey, if you help me out, I'll give you another one." So he gave me this one. So guys, Tomlini, TOMLINI.com. So these are his bags. Again, black owned. Just tell them, you know, Dynasty Mir. Black owned, everybody. Black owned. And let me know which one you guys like, the brown or the snake skin one.
I like the snake skin one. I like the snake skin.
Yeah, so black owned. So yeah.
That's cute.
All right, go ahead, brother. Sorry about that.
I don't know the problem, man. Like, yeah, it's like, you know, so we invest in all these resources into Europe, but if you see the way they treat Africans in Europe is deplorable. Like, you know, they don't give you, can you go to Europe and say, okay, there's actually a population that is living well? No. So it's like, I don't see why we should be so caught up in trying to do right by Europeans. They never done right by us, so who cares about them? You know?
Real quick, somebody in the chat room says, what role, and we get into the ADOs later once we finish the Chinese, you know, conversation about the role in Africa. Someone in the chat room said, what role does Black Americans play in rebuilding or helping and build Africa? And on top of that, I had a conversation with my Nigerian friend today via Facebook, my brother Uwandu. And he said, you know, I asked him, you know, we're talking about election. You know, he sent me the link to, you know, I could watch the election results live. And, you know, I told him that he needs to go back and help save Nigeria. And he responded, "I love to go back, but the time isn't right yet, but I certainly will. Thank God for social media. Now y'all can see how disgusting elections get." He said, "We need to save Nigeria with people like me, myself, Dynasty Mir, standing next to us." So,
what role?
And he says, continental Africans may never be able to do it alone, too mind fucked by religion, superstition, and colonialism. So what role, how can we help?
I mean, you can do everything from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. Like, I seen you was in Ghana, and you interviewed that man, the guy, Obadele Kambon.
Kambon,
yeah. And that dude did the whole Gandhi must fall movement. The Gandhi must fall movement. I don't know if you heard about that.
The statue.
Yeah, the statue. And so there's a brother that came from America and had this knowledge, access to knowledge, that Gandhi was like a racist, but everybody else in Ghana didn't know that. They just had the popular stereotype that, oh, Gandhi was a man of peace, and then he was the one that brought it up like, oh, no, you guys got it wrong. So what can African Americans do? Like, bring your outside knowledge. And so when he brought it up and people start reading what Gandhi wrote, they were like, wow, we praising this guy, and this guy was talking shit about us.
Right.
So that's you can do everything from bring your knowledge to 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 um to bring your skill sets, or bring, or invest your capital. You can do anything, even if it's just buying books. If you can buy books and send it to Africa, that's good. A book drive, or like what you're doing right now with those bags. You promoting this product. You promoting these bags. You can bring product from Africa and sell it over, in the States. That's something that would help out a lot.
True.
Help people export their stuff to Africa, to the West, because you have access to the West and they don't. And so if you can stimulate trade for their businesses, they would definitely appreciate that.
Let's see what else we got here in the chat room. Everyone, thank you for joining us. So again, I'm still just trying to understand. And I know my African friends, my African immigrant friends really have been beating this inside of my head. I still don't understand why you come to America, you learn the skills. Why not go back and build immediately?
Why not?
And I think we had this conversation how
I think
how
they want the bag. They want to get, it's like I grew up in Nigeria, right? And I grew up with power cuts. There'll be power cuts for like days, and
it's getting better. It's getting better now. It's getting, because when I was in the Sobo, it was like the first time I went, it was early in the morning for like maybe 3 hours in the morning, and then in the afternoon like maybe 2 or 3 hours. So it's getting a whole lot better now.
Yeah, it's like, but it's like you come to America and everything works, and there ain't no power cuts. Hey, what's up, buddy? And there ain't no power cuts. There ain't no power cuts, and it's like a huge difference. Like, people want, I understand where you're coming from, right? Because
and I'm trying to be I'm trying to show empathy and be, sympathetic. I know the issues that are going on, but I'm just like, man, you guys see us Black Americans, ADOS, we don't have a land of our own. You guys have your own country. Like, you got your own. You got Nigeria. You have
like
Ghana.
People don't appreciate that. People don't appreciate what they got until they lose it. And I didn't appreciate Nigeria until I came over to America, and I realized that, wow, okay, only white people control. Like, white people, they're the lord of this land, and you got to do what they want or you get out. And I didn't appreciate Nigeria until I came to America, and most Africans don't. I'll give you an example.
Go ahead.
Like my buddy, right? He worked at a bank in Nigeria, and I told him, don't come to America. Don't quit your job to come to America. I told him time and time again, don't quit your job to come to America. This dude refused to listen. So he packs his bag, packs his family, comes to America. So guess what he's doing right now?
What's he doing?
He's doing like DoorDash, delivering food, and
I mean, what did he think he was going to be doing?
Like, they just have this idea that Nigeria is the worst place in the world, and they just have to get out and They'll just figure things out. You see all these Africans that are dying in the desert and
Oh, but me and Sam Kuti was talking about dying in the Mediterranean. They can't even swim.
Yeah, it's like we've been brainwashed since when we was little kids that we got to get out, that everything will just take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come to America and there's people that's homeless, right? And you're like, okay, these are Americans that have been here for centuries,
Mm-hmm.
and they're homeless in America. And so it's like people don't have a good sense of what the West is like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is.
Now, do you think African immigrants that are over here, they're not telling the truth to their brethren back home on the situation that's really going on, like their real experience?
Yeah, that's true. That's 100% true. But not only are they not telling the truth, some of them is straight up committing crimes and flashing. They commit crimes over here,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go back home.
Hey, like your boys, Jesse Smollett. the two. Hey, listen, they took that money that he gave them, and they went straight to Nigeria. It was
exactly
money.
Yo, they took that money back there to flash, like, oh yeah, we got money now. As like, people back home don't know that, oh, these motherfuckers, like these dudes are criminals. These dudes are criminals. And that's just how a lot of Nigerians be doing a lot of scams over here in the West. Because I was just watching, and so they go home and they're like, yeah, man, I made it. Because everybody has this idea of, okay, if I come to the West, and I got to go back home with something.
Right.
So that's another reason why Nigerians don't go home, because they haven't made that bag. They haven't got the bag yet. So it's like, I can't just go home if I haven't got that bag yet.
Right.
And it's not that easy to get that bag. They think it's easy, but it doesn't happen overnight. Like if you do things the legitimate way, it takes a while. But nobody wants to hear that.
Hold on, guys. I want to show you guys this video real quick of the one of the Nigerian brothers, what they was doing with the money that Jesse Juicy gave him. Hold on, I gotta find it. It was hilarious.
What was they doing?
I'm about to show you. Hold on, I'm trying to find his Instagram. I gotta go back to his Instagram page. Hold on one second. Let me go to his Instagram. But so do you think China is sincere in dealing with Africa?
I think that,
or does it matter?
I think that they are. I'll be honest with you. I feel like in China, they just have like a lot of racist thinking. But you have to remember that I feel like the leadership of China is sincere. I feel like, I don't think that they're like this similar to Europeans. I don't think they've been through the same stuff that we've been through. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they are sincere. But above everything, that Africans need to rely on Africans. Above everything, right? Before we start talking about China or the West, like let's take what the talent that we have and let's put some money behind them. Let's invest in them, and let them run the thing. Let them manage the economy. But I feel like we're gonna need some help, and I'd rather get that help from China than get that help from Europe. Just because even if the Chinese exploit you, at least you get something. Like, they're not going to exploit you as bad as Europeans. Mm-hmm. Europeans, they just trying to take everything. When we look at their actions, they smile in your face, but they trying to take everything. And, I don't trust them at all.
Hold on, I have to find this. Okay, so next topic. I know you brought this up, and then we can always go back to China as well. ADOS. What are your thoughts on it?
All right. I totally understand ADOS, you want reparations or whatever, but that's totally understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're not the only ones that want reparations. The Jamaicans want reparations from the UK.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
Namibians want reparations from Germany.
Right.
The Caribbeans want reparations from UK. But I think there's also an angle of ADOS that is anti-African, that's anti-foreign, and it's more about, oh, we want to exclude these blacks from Africa from these opportunities, where they're like, okay, our ancestors fought for affirmative action, and
Mm-hmm.
so why should you benefit? That kind of thing, right?
Let me ask you this. So they have affirmative action in South Africa. Are you familiar with that?
I know they have like black empowerment
Right,
stuff,
right. It's affirmative.
economic.
But it's affirmative action. So they have the black empowerment, then they have affirmative action as well. Me being a Black American, if I were to move to South Africa tomorrow, should I have the same right or have access to those affirmative action programs, the same affirmative action programs as the South African whose family?
Probably not.
Right. So that's basically.
But check this out.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
check this out, right?
Right.
Okay, you've been to several different countries in Africa, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so I'm sure you understand that each one of them is in some way being exploited by the West, right? Like
Correct.
Nigeria.
And I know where you're going with this, but continue, and I'll give you my response. Go ahead.
Nigeria with the oil, and Ghana with the gold, and all these other countries, right? So I'm saying, like, okay, even if we're not going to be, we're not necessarily riding on, the coattails of, oh, okay, African Americans. You have to understand we have our own separate arrangement with Europe and America. Like, okay, so in as much as, yeah, you fought civil rights and you deserve certain reparations, yeah. But, if I'm sending you oil, every day.
Go ahead. No, I'm here.
If I'm sending you oil every day and you're making money, I'm sending you gold every day. I'm sending you cocoa for your chocolate factories. I come to America and there's chocolate everywhere.
Right. Okay.
Right? There's chocolate everywhere. I go to corner store, there's chocolate. I go to McDonald's, there's chocolate. There's chocolate everywhere. But whose resource allows that to happen?
Yeah, but but the thing is, your leaders have a business deal, whether it's legit or not, with the West. So I understand what does that have to do with?
What I'm saying is, like, you all don't have a problem with the resources of Africa, but you have a problem with Africans coming to America to take advantage of maybe schools or universities.
Right. And this is the issue I have with that. And help me to understand this. So if you know the West, specifically America, is exploiting and playing a role in exploiting your country, why do you immigrate to America and not somewhere else? Or better yet, if you know if America is playing a role in stabilizing your country, I could understand if African immigrants or immigrants from Central America, Mexico, I could understand they came over here and were actively trying to take down the system, but they're not. And in fact, they're building up the system because again, highly educated, you're building up the infrastructure. And not only that, when Uncle Sam pays you every week or every 2 weeks, he takes for building up the infrastructure. Like I was reading the other day, there was there was a Nigerian, the highest paid robotics engineer or something like that.
Yeah, that dude. Yeah, I've seen that too.
Right. So, and he's not in Nigeria, he's in the West. So he's building up these white-owned, Western-owned companies, right? Making them more profitable. Then he's getting paid a paycheck to do that. Then Uncle Sam takes taxes out of that paycheck, and then he gives those paychecks. I mean, he gives those taxes, puts it in his war chest to give to your leaders to continue to do the fuckery that they're doing. So that's why I don't understand when you look at the bigger picture.
The thing is, this movement is still a young one. This kind of consciousness movement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the past, we've had leaders that tried to do the right thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Kwame Nkrumah. What happened to Kwame Nkrumah? The CIA kicked him out. We had Thomas Sankara. What happened to Thomas Sankara? He was assassinated. What happened to Patrice Lumumba? He was assassinated.
True.
At the same time, we still have people that are fighting, but a lot of people are not soldiers. A lot of people are not soldiers. They're just trying to get they're just trying to live just a regular life and just trying to just survive. A lot of people are just civilians. They're not soldiers. I mean, you got people that is fighting, but most people are just trying to get, they're trying to live the best life they can while they can. And for a lot of people, that means going to the West.
But you do understand, like all ADC. This is the thing. ADOS is not the size, but divisive. All we are doing is
I think it is, because the lady Yvette Cannell, the lady that's behind that, I've followed her for a while, right? I used to listen to her, but then I realized that she was very she was very divisive. She was anti-Pan-Africanism. She had a video that said Pan-Africanism is dead. And she was all about, African Americans. She formed this whole ADOS thing, right? She formed it as a way of saying we need to separate ourselves and just kind of like beg the U.S. government to give us reparations and treat us different. Like,
but this is the thing. So let me ask you this: what issue do you see with African Americans becoming their own group? Because let's break it down. When a Mexican comes to America, he doesn't shed the Mexican. He's a Mexican American.
Okay,
he's a Ghanaian American. But now, since
I don't have a problem with that,
ADOS it's a problem now.
I don't really have a problem with ADOS, but I have a problem with saying, okay, let's discriminate against the African. Like, I seen there was a group that said they wrote a group of Black Americans at an Ivy League university, and they wrote a letter to the chairman of the school or whatever, the chancellor, and they were like, oh, there are too many Africans studying here. They should reduce the number of Africans. And they were advocating for more ADOS, or as you call them. Yes. And I'm like, okay, so you're calling for discrimination against...
No. It's not discrimination. It's these affirmative action programs. Okay, when Black ADOS, the reason why they're in place is because of the blood equity we put in for these programs to be in place.
Okay.
And everybody's just kind of coming along and
okay. I don't have a problem.
And let me almost done, attaching themselves to them and gaining from the benefit, except for the people who put in the blood equity to make sure the programs get in place. I think that's the problem.
I'm not against African Americans benefiting. I'm just saying that, like I was saying earlier, nobody has a problem with African gold. No, when I was saying earlier with the cocoa and the chocolate, like when I look around, I see abundance of chocolate in America. I see abundance of gold. I go to any shopping mall, you see all these folks selling you gold, and I see an abundance of diamonds. I see abundance of oil and gas. I see an abundance of all of these resources, computers, and all of these things that Africa's resources have directly contributed to your economy.
Yeah,
We're
but
talking about
that has,
trillions of dollars.
but that has
So let
nothing.
me finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
I'm saying, like, okay, why should I send trillions of dollars of resources to your economy, and then you turn around and say, well, we don't really want you to go to Harvard, or we don't really want you to go to MIT. So what's the benefit for me? And this is where I was going back to what I was saying earlier. And this is how it ties in with China. I'm like, we're better off sending those resources to China and not doing business with the West. But people always want to cape for the West, you know? And I'm really serious about it. Like, everybody wants to enjoy an abundance on Africa's resources, but don't want to give Africa anything.
Yeah, but that, I think, again, that's an argument. In fact, and see, here we go. That's an argument between Nigerians and Nigerian politicians are why they're giving away everything for almost for free. So that
But
would that would
no,
be your
no.
reparation.
Because here's the thing: when white people come to Africa,
Mhm.
their position is, we're your friends. You know, we're your friends. We want to do business with you.
Mhm.
You can come in. So, and that was what I was trying to get across, that you have your claim against white people, right? ADOS, you have your own claim against white people. Like, we put in all this equity, blood equity, and we want to benefit from that. But we also have a claim. As Africans, we have a claim based on colonialism, based on the exploitation of our resources. You know, it's like you have your claim and we have our claim.
Right.
Our claim is
So then I
our
think
claim is we're making you rich. You know, you go to Nigeria now, there's ExxonMobil, they haven't stopped pumping oil for 60 years. They're $1 trillion corporation because of it. The chocolate companies in America, they're multi-billion-dollar corporations because of Nigeria's cocoa, because of Ghana's cocoa, because of Ivory Coast cocoa. And then the gold companies, the only reason why they're in business is because of South Africa's gold. That's the only reason why they're in business. The only reason they can make profits. The only reason why they can make profits is because, okay, we have access to Africa's gold. The only reason why the chocolate companies can be what they are today is because, oh, we have Africa's cocoa being shipped to us. The only reason why the oil companies can be what they are today is because, oh, we have African oil in Libya, Algeria, Nigeria, Angola being shipped to us. The only reason Starbucks can be the multi-billion-dollar corporation today is because they have coffee coming out of East Africa. And so what I'm saying is that
yeah, but again, that's
we have a right that is not tied to ADOS.
okay. So exactly. So what I would say, you guys have your own separate claim then, because our claim is the blood equity we have in this country.
Yeah, our claim is
Building
your
the
claim.
infrastructure.
But the problem with ADOS is they think that we are, in a way, are we riding on your claim? Yes and no.
No, you guys are though. You guys are.
Yes and no, because yes, African Americans had the civil rights struggle, and because of the civil rights struggle, blacks can live a better life. But no, because America wanted to do business with independent Africa, right? And so they realized that part of the reason why the civil rights struggle was successful was because America wanted to do business with independent Black Africa, independent Asia. Remember, 75% of the world is minorities. 75% of the world is Black and brown and Asian people. So America, I remember I was just reading this story about a Ghanaian finance minister. He came to America in the 60s to give a talk. So he went to this Howard Johnson restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Kumla Duma or something like that. And he said, "Oh, give me some oranges, blah, blah, blah." And they basically told him, like, you can't eat here. Like, sir, you can't eat here. This is a segregated restaurant. You got to take your oranges and go. And he was shocked. It was like, what? Don't worry about it. You hear about it. So he hits the newspapers, right? You can look this up yourself. It hits the newspapers, right? And it was like a scandal because all the newspapers like, oh, a Ghanaian minister could not get service at Howard Johnson. And so the next day, Eisenhower, the president at the time, invites him to the White House and says, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he says, "Well," he was given a talk and all of that. And so the next day, it was like big news. And so the next day, Eisenhower goes out of his way to invite him to the White House for breakfast. And then Howard Johnson, they canceled their segregationist policies. So what I'm trying to say is this. America wanting to do business with Africa, wanting to do business with Asia, helped the civil rights movement. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. You can look this up. You can watch this documentary. They talk about Nkrumah and the dam and the Akosombo Dam.
Mm-hmm.
They basically talk about
but that was an American corporation that came in and took over the dam.
But
I'm familiar with it.
But that was part of. It was kind of like a way of saying, "Oh, we are not." It was America's way of trying to engage with Africa, And I don't know if you want. I'll send you the clip to that documentary, and it kind of plays out that scenario I just explained to you. And they talk about that scenario, and you can read it up online too. So yeah, I want to. If you ask me if African Americans deserve reparations, I would say 1,000% they deserve reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the same time, if you now start saying, well, Africans should not get any benefit from America. And then, so now as an African, I have to ask myself, why should I do business with America? If I'm not getting any benefit from America, then you shouldn't get any benefit from Africa. You should not.
Right. So that's a separate claim.
I mean, that's my whole position. I'm not against ADOS saying, "Oh, we have rights." Fine, but if you don't want Black Africans,
okay. Well, here we go. Then, so this is how this works. Then, so then the Africans who I guess agree with you, you guys go to your leaders and say, "Look, we're taking control of these resources, and we're not going to do business with America." That problem solved.
Yeah, problem solved. And that's what people like me want. And that's why I'm caping for China. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm caping for China hard because I feel like in the West, people don't value Africa. So maybe if we take these resources away, then people will start valuing Africa. Because as it is, the only thing that, we get knowledge from the West, fine. But everything we get from the West is overpriced. Everything, you go to college in America, you're paying $40,000 for what? For what?
Yeah, but you guys, but this is the issue. Immigrants find more, and we'll use Nigeria for an example. Nigerians find more value in Harvard than they do University of Ife. Whose fault is that? That's what I'm saying. You have your own institutions, you have your own country. Dude, so that's why
you're an American, right?
Right.
What does America try to do around the world? America goes out there and says, we're the land of opportunity. They got the Statue of Liberty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Send me your poor. We're the best. We're the best. Oh, come to America, blah, 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 blah. all the other countries, how many countries in the world do you know are actively trying to sell themselves, whether it's through the movies or the music? How many countries do you know are actively trying to sell themselves to the rest of the world?
I understand, but what does that have to do with
Very,
the ADOS claim that you guys are, falling for the bait?
what I'm saying to you is this: you don't go out and sell yourself and give out visas to people in Africa, and then when they show up, you now turn around and say, well, you're not ADOS, so I don't know, we don't want you to have this good job. You don't go sell the American dream. If you have a problem with Africans, then tell them in Africa, like, yo, we don't want you here. Don't wait till they come over here and they've struggled, and then because many of these people that, it's like Americans when they go abroad, they're always trying to sell America as better than everywhere else, and they're always trying to sell America. They're always trying to convince people that America is a nice place and it's better, and oh, you should come over
Yeah, but
because
the thing is, we never said we don't want. I want as many black people as possible to come to America if they want
no,
to.
I
Fine.
don't want. I personally, I'm the opposite direction.
No, but I understand. But what I'm saying is that since Black Americans have blood equity in this country, we need to be I don't want to say a protected class because we never will get protection, but we are owed specific reparations and concessions because of our unique history in this country for the past 400 something
I
years. And
I
what
100% agree. I 100% agree.
what I'm saying is, if say Nigeria takes Britain to court for reparations, I move to Nigeria. I don't deserve any of that. But
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Like,
and I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that African Americans are owed specific reparations. But what you also have to understand is that America is everywhere, and America is exploiting everybody. And so everybody else also has their own claims to make against America. America is in Iraq, right? They're in Iraq, they're in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So if a Saudi guy comes to America, he's not coming to America because ADOS made that possible.
No. Oh, hold on. No, ADOS. Okay, so let me give me.
If a guy from Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah.
Is coming to America.
Yes.
To study.
Okay.
It's because the American government wants to be friendly with Saudi Arabia. Why?
No, let me stop you here. So, are you familiar with the Immigration Act of 1965? I believe.
Okay, why do you think there was an Immigration Act of 1965? Okay, you would say it was because of the Civil Rights Movement.
Correct.
I would say that there were two reasons. One, the Civil Rights Movement, and two, the fact that the West, America realized that for them to become a great power, they're going to have to engage with the third world. Most of America's oil comes from the third world. Most of the precious resources is in the third world. So America understood that they couldn't maintain a racist position and at the same time go to the same people. It's like me saying, okay, I want to come to your house and I want to have dinner, but you can't come to my house. It's like, okay, I want to come to Nigeria and I want to make money in your oil wells. I want to come to Saudi Arabia and I want to pump out your oil. But hey, I don't want you to come to my country. I don't want you to come immigrate to my country. So how does that work? And you remember the Soviet Union was still around. There was a whole Cold War. It was the whole Cold War that was happening. And America didn't want the developing world to turn to the Soviet Union. So, yes, the civil rights movement played a role, no question. But America's desire to engage with the third world also played a role. And you know what? I agree with you. ADOS, they've been through a lot. They deserve special protections and recognitions. But you better be careful if you choose this path. If you choose this path of discriminating against foreigners, because
We're not, but again, we're not.
foreigners can discriminate against you too. Foreigners can discriminate against America too.
But
And the world out there is a lot bigger than America. The world out there, America benefits more from the world's resources than vice versa. Let me put it that way.
Mhm.
America benefits more. It is enriched more by the resources of the rest of the world than vice versa.
I
And
understand. So that's why I'm saying, with that being said, why aren't the immigrants, all of them who are coming to America, who are blaming America for exploiting them, going back to their countries, confronting the issues, taking over, and then punishing America?
some of them are trying to do that. That's what Kwame Nkrumah tried to do. That's what Kwame Nkrumah tried to do. He came to America, he saw what was going on, and he went back to Ghana, and he tried to implement his own Pan-Africanist policies. But what did the Americans do to him? You tell me. What did America do to Kwame Nkrumah?
Yeah, but I mean,
They kicked him out of government, right?
yeah, but this is the thing. African countries are so young. So, but again, Black Americans, we went through chattel slavery. Oh, let me finish. Chattel slavery, the Reconstruction era, which was hell, Jim Crow, war on drugs, legislation which kept us out of the economic marketplace, redlining.
Yeah.
Off 400 years. You're giving me an example of Kwame Nkrumah after you're right after independence, 40 years ago in his situation, and then it's just like, okay, let's just go to America. My thing is, it's not just I guess what's the word I want to use, a 40-year or one. It's like, if I lose the Super Bowl, do I just stop playing the game and sell and get rid of my team and not try next year? So my thing is, it's just, again, the African countries are so young, but I just see, in my honest opinion, immigrants just coming over here for the American, to chase the American dream, when it's like, dude, you got your own country, or we have our own country to build in Africa, but you want the American dream, and
Because
look what they did to
you sold the American dream. You sold the American dream, and people bought it.
Hmm.
That's what you sell. Like, that's what you sell with your TV shows. I personally don't. You want to know what my position is?
Mm-hmm.
My position is kind of very similar. There's more land available in Africa for Africans. There's more mineral resources for Africans to control.
Mm-hmm.
There's more goodwill. Nobody's looking down on you just because you're black. And I agree with you in the sense that we should all stay and build Africa and take our resources elsewhere. But the reality on the ground is the average African believes that they'll be better off in America. In the long run, in the short run, I believe that Africans are better off on the continent.
Hold on. I want to say, Gregory Wise just said something in the chat room. Black Americans have never actively sold the American dream.
Well, Black Americans have sold the American dream. Like when you travel to Africa, right?
Okay.
You're telling me that you're not telling people that, just even your parents, you got your nice camera,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking pictures, just
Mm-hmm.
even your appearance, you look like you're doing well.
Mm-hmm.
That alone is selling America.
Okay, but
Like,
when
look
I
at those
okay,
guys that she was talking about that
uh-huh.
went back to Nigeria and it was flashing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's selling America too, because even though they, I don't know how, even though they did their stuff the crooked way, but that's selling America. So A lot of our people are naive. They don't know any better. So it's like,
Yeah, but in Nigeria, you have Aliko Dangote, the richest black man on the planet.
yeah, you
Like,
have Aliko Dangote.
that's what I'm saying.
Like
Like, that's why I'm confused. Like, okay,
America sells itself. Speaking as an African that grew up in Africa, watching American movies, America sells itself through the movies. America sells itself through the TV shows. Those movies and TV shows are extremely powerful. They're a way of programming. So it's like you can't just say, yeah, they should know better. How are they supposed to know better? They don't know. You only know what you've experienced. And if you only know what you see. You only know what you see. And is America better? From my view, yeah, in some ways it is better. In some ways it is better, and in some ways it is much worse. But it's like, how do they know that? They can't know that because they don't live in America. They've never been to America. So how are they supposed to know?
I guess we have to, like I told Say and Kuti, because you guys are my brothers. We have to agree to disagree. But I just, again,
It's like,
you're comparing me and my nice clothes and my camera, the American dream, quotation marks, to Aliko Dangote, who's the richest. Nigeria has the richest black people on the planet.
I know that. I know that because I live here in America, and I know that Nigeria is rich, and I can see the difference. But put yourself in the shoes of a Nigerian who's working class in Nigeria, and he watches American movies, and he's never been anywhere in the world before. He wants to travel. Like, why do you travel? You want to see the world too, right?
Okay, but there's a difference between travel versus moving. Because like I said, the thing is, it's just,
yeah, there's a difference between traveling and moving. But you also have to understand something. America, the Western countries are also destabilizing Africa. You understand that. You understand that.
Yeah,
America,
but again,
America,
and then I'm gonna say this last statement. Then you have the last statement. Then I have to take my son home. But again, if the Western countries are destabilizing Africa, and you guys know that while you're in Africa, why relocate to these countries who are destabilizing?
no. We don't know that while we're in Africa. Like, some of us don't know that. Like, I came here when I was still very young. A lot of people come here when they're young. But for me, it's like, I'm going to be 100% correct. I'm going to be 100% point blank.
Go ahead.
There's a big picture. Those of us that are conscious, those of us that have traveled a little bit, studied a little bit, we can see the big picture. But there's like a whole lot of other people that are not conscious. They're not conscious.
Okay, so let's do this. This is my last question, and I'll let you finish up. So it's kind of like a two-part question. So what do non-ADOS ADOS, I guess, immigrants want from America? And then what is the bigger picture? Why do you, and Sane Kuti was saying the same thing. Why do you think non-ADOS immigrants should be able to benefit from the blood equity that ADOS have put into this country?
Okay. The first part was what? The first part of the question was what again? Was why should what do they want?
Yeah, like so what do you guys want from America? Like,
okay, it's very, very simple. My thing is that from my perspective, and this is why I was caping for China, it's like, if you're not going to help me out, then I don't want you in my country. It's just that simple. I don't want you in my oil wells. I don't want you in my cocoa plantations, gold mines, diamond mines. Very simple. I'd rather just do business with China. That's my position. Some people might say, oh, it's a fucking hardline position, but that's what I feel. Like, I feel like from a resource standpoint, a natural resource standpoint, we don't benefit much from the West. They get all the gold. They get all the diamonds. So if you're not going to help me out, Just pack your bags and leave. The oil infrastructure, dismantle it. Blow it up. Dismantle it and leave. Let's bring in the Chinese. Because what we're seeing is that, okay, we're doing business with China and they're building infrastructure. They're training African students. So why should I take my finite resources? Our resources are finite. There's only so much resources. Why should I take that and invest it in America and make America rich, America great, and everybody's enjoying an abundance of gold and diamonds, and every American woman wants a diamond ring, but America doesn't produce any diamonds, and everybody wants to be able to go to the store and eat a chocolate bar, but America doesn't produce any cocoa, and everybody wants vanilla ice cream, and America doesn't produce any vanilla, and everybody wants to go drink some coffee, and America produces very little coffee, and you want to all live, you want to have computers and cell phones, and you want to live this life of abundance and drive your SUVs, and you want to do that on the back of Africa's labor and resources, but you're not trying to help Africa. So if you're not going to help me out, get lost. We're just going to do business with China. Okay? Number two, that's my hardline position. That's my hardline. If this dude ain't helping you out, then why are you investing in him? Why is he making money in your country? Tell him to get lost. Now, the reality of that is the West is not just going to go away. They killed Patrice Lumumba. They killed Patrice Lumumba. That's a prime minister. That was somebody that was elected into office. Kwame Nkrumah was elected into office. They kicked him out of government. The CIA organized a coup. Thomas Sankara was straight up assassinated. Okay? So there are multiple cases where, even right now, so what am I saying? So when it comes to the ADOS issue, you must understand something. We as Africans, we have a separate claim against the West.
Okay.
Your claim is separate from our claim.
Okay.
Our claim is that these white folks is making trillions of dollars on the back of our resources. So if we want to go to white universities, Harvard and MIT and whatever, we have a right. You have your right, and we have our right. Now, if you don't want me to come to your universities, okay, I want you out of my country. Fine. Get out of my oil wells, my diamond mines, my gold mines, pack your shit and leave. And we're just going to look to China and say, okay, you can have that and you help us out. And that's what a lot of African countries are doing now. That's what they're doing now.
Okay. Carolina Kello. I know, shout out to Carolina Kello, everybody. I know that the future is Africa. I think the issue, especially with Yvette Carnell's and hardcore ADOS types, and I've experienced this as well. I know the future is Africa, but the way the system is set up in Africa, when descendants of slaves come back to Africa, we are not treated or given the rights, same rights, or treated as being African. We are looked at as Americans.
Well, that's true.
And I think that's why a lot of these hardcore ADOSers are the way they are. Because when we go back to Africa, even though the slave dungeons are still there, we know the story.
I mean, they view you, how do they view Americans, African Americans? They view you as Americans of African descent. They're like, okay, yeah, we know you're black.
Like that. I mean, the people on the ground do, but I think, see, we're talking institution on an institution level.
Yeah, on an institution level, they think of you as Americans. They don't.
And so I think that's why the ADOSers are the way the hardline ones are. I'm a Pan-Africanist, but I do agree with several points.
Let me just say this again. Mm-hmm. I'm not against the general idea of ADOS, which is blacks in America, the descendants of slaves deserve reparations. I'm not against that. I'm totally not against that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't understand is why you would say, okay, this African over here cannot come to this school. Okay, then why did you give Africans visas? Explain that to me. Why did you give visas? There's very few Africans are crossing the border in Mexico. For an African to be here, it's because you gave him a visa. You gave him some type of visa.
That's the government. That's not us. We don't control.
Okay, yeah. So for me, why would you say, okay, we'll give you this visa, and then when people come here, okay, why would you just kind of project a certain image? You're projecting images, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's how, okay, you elect Barack Obama, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what image does that project to Africa? Okay,
I understand. No,
it's
yeah.
like, okay, you're projecting this image that, okay, America's the land of opportunity, the American dream. You even have a name for it, the American dream. And you're selling that image to people. And people are investing in that image. But when they come here, flip it and say, well, I really don't want you to be that successful or as successful as me. I just really want you to just scrub toilets and stay in your place. That don't make, that's just fucked up. It's like don't project images. And there are people in Nigeria that were comfortable doing whatever they were doing, and then you came along and gave them a visa, a green card, and they came over here, and now you're saying you have a problem with them. I personally believe that Africans are better off staying in Africa and working in Africa because one, there's more land, there's more mineral resources available. You control the government, you control the institutions, but everybody's so brainwashed that they think that there's something in America that's not elsewhere. There's like a special resource. There ain't no special resource. It's just hard labor.
Well, brother, I appreciate the dialogue. I really do. I enjoyed this. We can always have this dialogue and be respectful. And at the end of the day, Top 10 Africa, you are still my brother, and the future is Africa. How about that?
Yeah, for real. That's real talk. Like, I don't have a problem with reparations. Like I said, the Jamaicans asked for reparations.
Right.
They went to the UK and said, we want reparations for slavery. The Caribbeans, the Namibians in Africa, they went to Germany. They said, well, you guys committed genocide in Namibia. We want reparations too. So I'm not against African Americans wanting reparations, but don't sell me a dream and then you want to switch, you want to shift the goalpost and say, well, how much money costs to come to America? Do you know how much, people believe in that dream. That's the only reason they come to America. Mm-hmm. The only reason people come to America is because they believe in that dream. That's the only reason. Like, if America was a racist, segregationist country, nobody would come here. They'll say, you know what? I'm not going to put, if they didn't believe that they could do better for themselves, nobody would come here. Mm-hmm. If America was like in the 1920s and 30s, where black people were being lynched and doing all kinds of stuff, nobody would come here. Mm-hmm. Because they'll say, I'm not going to risk my life just so that, for what? Why would I want to go to a place where I can never advance? It doesn't make any sense.
Right. And ADOS made it possible. So you guys, well,
that's true. That's 100% true. That's 100% true. But here's my thing. As a hardcore Pan-Africanist, which is what I am, I feel like the wealth of the black man is in Africa. The land that he owns and controls is in Africa. The gold mines, the oil wells, the universities, it's not in America. But a lot of us are brainwashed. So when someone like me is like I told you, I was telling my friend, don't come here, right? And he still came here. And now he's like the delivery guy. And I'm like, okay, well, I told you I told you, and I'll say this again. I feel like African unity and us trading with each other, like buying and selling from each other and exchanging ideas, I feel like that's the way forward. And I feel like we should seek help from China because we do need help. I'm not saying that we got everything figured out. We do need help, but we should seek that help from China. And America can do whatever it wants to do. But stop interfering in our business too. Stop interfering in our business because America is not just, America is involved in our business. They put their, they're involved in what we're doing. So you can't be assassinating leaders, and then when the country is fucked up, you say, well, you can't come in.
But
I don't know.
go ahead. Go ahead and finish your statement.
Like, you can't now assassinate my president and support a dictator, and then you want to know why I'm coming to America. Well, because you assassinated my leader and you fucked my country up, you messed my country up, and you can't be doing, I don't know, man. It's like when I was young and naive, I used to think that America was the greatest country in the world. But now that I'm older and I know a lot more about geopolitics, let's just say my mindset has changed.
Okay. All right, but how can everybody get in contact with you?
Go to Top 10 Africa. Just type in, search for my channel, Top 10 Africa. You can put it in your
doing it right now.
In your.
All right, everybody, and before I close out, once again, Black-owned Tomlini, brothers out of the UK, Black-owned snakeskin, high-end luxury bag. So if you plan on buying a nice luxury keep-all, instead of going and get one from Louis Vuitton or Gucci, snakeskin, Black-owned Tomlini, Tomlini.com. All right, so TOMLINI.com, Tomlini.com. So guys, here you go. And again, guys, let them know that you know Dynast. Just say, hey, I know Dynast, all right, when you hit them up. But again, how much are the Louis Vuitton keep-alls? I mean, come on, you guys. Stop the show. Stop the fucking show. Hold on. Now, you Negroes will go buy a Louis Vuitton keep-all, which is like 1,500 to 2 stacks at the Louis Vuitton store. Okay? Y'all do the same thing for Gucci. Black women will go out there and get them a Louis Vuitton Speedy. That's like the rites of passage for a lot of these sisters out here in America. A damn Louis Vuitton Speedy at the Louis Vuitton store and drop $1,000, $1,200 on that. But you have a black man with a nice luxury line of keep-all bags, real snakeskin, nice as hell. And y'all talk about, oh, I can't pay that much. But again, just say, hey, you know Dynast, and the brother will look out for you and give you a discount. That's the discount, Dynast Amir. Search for Uhuru. Tell him you know Dynast Amir, search for Uhuru, and he'll give you a discount. But I don't want to hear shit because I know tonight when I go out, all right, when I go out tonight to go grab me something to eat, I'm going to see you Negroes in Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and all that. But then a black man has, I mean, these shits are, I mean, bro, these bags are nice as hell. He has these nice bags, and y'all say, oh, I can't, and this is real snakeskin, none of that fake stuff. So yeah, I just had to get it off my chest. So Tomlini.com. And guys, let me know which one you like. All right, let me know if you like the brown one. Let me know if you like the brown one. Or let me know if you like the this one right here. This color's called Salmon. Let me know which one you guys like. But yeah, but brother, I appreciate it. You know, you're welcome to come on anytime. You're my brother.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yo, thanks a lot. Thanks for the show. Thanks for the show, man. Yeah, I have to get that off my chest.
Yeah, so everyone, again, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go to Search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Again, Search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Peace.